Previously on No Reserves Radio.
Oh my God, Angelo! Come on, have some self-respect. The Eagles can't hurt you if you don't constantly pander to them.
Here's the biggest indictment of Dame that I can say. Dame has been so off this year that Ren went on live air and said Jalen Brunson deserved an all-star start over him.
You are now Angelo Dudululo.
Do you think it is possible that the management of the Memphis Grizzlies are just buying into the reckless youth movement and they got rid of the one person in the locker room that probably was telling Ja to knock it off?
Because he's taken advantage of me multiple times when I was younger. That sounded bad. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're correct in that assessment.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of No Reserves Radio. Today, our predictions for the upcoming season, Alex. Did you feel as bad as I did making these predictions?
So, they seem like some of those projections that in about, I don't know, a month could look absolutely different, very wildly different. But, I mean, I don't hate them as much as you do, apparently.
I hate it. I didn't even worry about what record I was giving people. I literally just went through every game, gut instinct, boom, 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 and I feel sick. I need to vomit.
You're not feeling at your best.
No, it's the rankings. The rankings make me sick.
Okay. It's the rankings more than anything.
The rankings make me sick.
Okay. So, where do you want to start today?
I mean, the top of this has it in the AFC West. Do you want to start with the AFC West?
I guess so, sure. Go ahead and start with the AFC West.
I have the Chiefs winning their division at 13-4.
Okay.
I have the Broncos second in the division at 7-10.
Damn, that's a difference.
I have the Raiders third in the division at 7-10.
Okay.
And I have the Chargers dead last in the division at 7-10.
Ooh, 7-10s. A lot of 7-10s, huh?
7-10.
7-10, baby.
You'll see some trends on the NFC side too. Don't worry.
Okay. We are similar on a few things, which is the division leader. That's about it. Okay, so division leader, you had the Chiefs at was it 14-3 or 13-4?
13-4.
Okay, I had them at 14-3. So similar enough, I guess. We flip a game somewhere. My first loss to the for the Kansas City Chiefs came on week 13, if I'm not mistaken, versus the Raiders. So in yours came, you were mentioning it before. It's opening day versus the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
Okay, so you are kind of feeling the Ravens here a bit this year, it seems like.
So that and trends. So last year, the Chiefs lost to the Lions to start the season last year. And quite honestly, they never look at their best that week one after winning the Super Bowl. And I expect that trend to continue. Baltimore should be coming out way more hungry, especially the way they got eliminated. They have something to prove. I honestly think if the Ravens don't at least make this a competitive game, I was going to say just beat them. But if they don't make this a close game, what are they doing?
I think it will be close. But by the way, did the Chiefs actually lost last season, or was it like? Oh no, they actually lost, right?
Yeah, they lost to the Lions.
Okay, I was between like if they had lost or if it was a very competitive game and they won in the end. It was
No, they
along
lost.
those lines. Okay, got it.
They lost.
I think this season they will probably start the season a bit stronger. The offensive weapons, I mean, Rasheed Rice, if he plays, if he doesn't fuck up anymore, which big question mark, I guess. He should start with them and be with the team for quite a while now. So he will be more entrenched in the system. You won't see the same like mashup of wide receivers that you saw early last season.
Not to mention
So
they added God, Robbie Anderson. Not Robbie Anderson. What is his name? Hollywood Brown.
like
They added
and
Hollywood Brown.
Xavier Worthy from the
And
draft.
Xavier Worthy in the draft. Yes.
So they have a few good pieces. Um, so I think the team will start a bit better this year. It won't look as like all over the place as they looked last season. So I expect a strong start. But we are not that far apart, I guess, because I mean it's a one game difference. Where we start to differ is at the number two slot. You had the Broncos at 7-10, right? Okay. I had the Raiders at 9-8 right now.
9-8.
9-8. I think they are a team. I mean, last season you saw once Antonio Pierce took over that team, the defense started playing pretty well. I mean, they looked like a very competent team. They looked like one of the best defenses in the league. Um, and I expect that to continue this year. Max Crosby is still around. I expect Tyree Wilson to take a jump forward. Robert Spillane is still around. Making that defense what it was last season. I think it will continue. Um, and I expect them to take a step on forward on offense as well.
I could see it, but my trepidation, my biggest trepidation, was how much faith do I have predicting a team quarterbacked by Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell to consistently win football games?
Hmm.
And apparently, you have a lot more faith in that than I do.
I mean, you know that I liked Aiden O'Connell quite a bit last season. So I'm
Mm.
hoping that he takes that jump, that next
I don't
jump
even
up.
think he's going to be the week one starter, dude.
I don't know about that. I'm
We'll
kind
see.
of hopeful that he
Preseason will be telling, but I don't think it's like, oh yeah, obviously Aiden O'Connell's. I don't think it's like that. I think there's going to be a competition in the
yeah,
preseason.
for sure, for sure. I mean, I think that is like a wide open competition. So I
Right.
just think
So
that
again,
Aiden
I go back to the question is, so how exactly do you have confidence in a team that you don't even know who the week one starter is right now?
because I have some sort of confidence on both guys. Not
That's
so
not
much
confidence. That's
so
faith.
on. Okay, faith. My
That
bad.
is 100% faith. That
Faith.
is
My bad.
praying to the Holy Ghost, my friend.
And I do have them starting 0-2, by the way, at the start of the season. So, I mean, I'm not saying like they are going to be absolute world beaters every step of the way. I think they will have rough patches because this is a team that is, again, as you said, Aiden O'Connell is like, it's not like the perfect picture of quarterback play, great quarterback play, I guess,
Not not
that you
only
expect
that,
from a
so
guy.
they also lost Josh Jacobs too, which was their little key to winning wasn't just that they played good. It was partly they played good defense, but it was also that they ran the ball and Josh Jacobs had good enough games that the defense only had to get so many stops. You're not going to have that luxury this year. 7-10 might actually be too generous, but
Have you checked Zamir's White Instagram picture though?
oh my god.
Because
Oh,
boy, that boy is ripped to the gills. I don't know, man. That
well,
looked like a
we're bringing up
crazy
Instagram
ass.
posts now. Let's go.
He looked like a crazy ass human being. Like straight out of the gym, looked bulked as all hell. I mean, he looked strong. I'm not saying that he's going to be a great, like, all around world beater of a running back. But I do think he can carry himself. Like he played well when Jacobs missed time last season. Pierce is gonna use one running back mostly to just carry the ball and play on. So I do expect Zamir White to be heavily involved, and I do expect the run game not to suffer like all that much, to be honest. Um, so yeah, I think this team is can have some sneaky potential. I think the QB woes could hurt at the start, but eventually they will get better. I think as the season progresses, they will see something on Aiden O'Connell. I really believe in the guy. He had a rough patch last season, but again, the offense was a complete mess from what McDaniels left them with. So now a changeup and their new peers starting from the very start, I guess, this season, being his team, being his guys, his system all around, and a full like training camp of Aiden just going off against one guy in Gardner Minshew, who is a seasoned vet in the game. I really think that he can take that next step up, and be an actual like solid NFL starter. And I think they will at least want to see that just to rule out if they don't have something in this guy. Because if they have something in this guy, then you're sort of like getting away from the QB conversation in the draft if he does really take that next step up. And it has to be sort of a big step, to be honest, from what he showed last season. But I think he can do it, and I think he will at least have a chance. He is not like the how do you put it? He's not the 100% starter right now, sure, but I think by I don't know around the 20th of August, I'm pretty certain then he's going to be named the starter. Like, I like the guy.
So what you're saying is, Alex, that you attend the Church of O'Connell on Sundays.
Yes,
Got it.
that is
Okay.
absolutely
So
it.
let's talk about another thing that may or may not need to. And actually, let's talk about it. Does this need to happen? Brock Bowers, 1,000-yard season as a tight end as a rookie. Does that need to happen for the Raiders to go 9-8? Yes or no?
Not really.
Not really.
No, I think they have enough pieces
What?
that they don't need this.
What is your fucking like their path to victory?
Zamir White, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Michael Myers, Michael Mayer, my bad, and Brock Bowers. I mean, they have five really strong pieces on offense. They just need one of the QBs to take a step forward. I don't really think that Brock Bowers needs to like take that big of a step and be that big of a piece right away. But I do think that he is going to play a part. I don't really see 1,000-yard season here, because at best I think it will be the second weapon, or the third weapon, overall. And that's at the very best because I don't think he will have more targets than a guy like Jacoby Myers, for example. So I think he will have less targets than Myers, than Adams, and I think the offense will run a whole lot. So Zamir White is going to be a weapon that is ahead of Brock Bowers. So I don't think like his rookie season will be like ginormous, where he will have like Kyle Pitts rookie season where he broke 1,000 yards. I don't really foresee that, and I'm not banking on that. I'm just banking on all of the pieces that they have on offense, which are quite a few and quite a few good ones. They all just mesh really well, and one of the QBs takes a step forward. And just having a coach that the guys in the locker room believe in, and not the mess that it was last season. I think it will look good, to be honest.
Alex projects that the Raiders win 9 boring football games.
I don't know if they will be boring, but I am projecting them to beat the Raiders, the Chiefs.
The Raiders have already beat the Raiders in my projections, so it's all good.
Okay, my third team is the Chargers at 8-9. So I think it will be a season where they bounce back slightly from what they were last season. Um, I, again, team people are kind of setting them aside because they have no wide receivers.
They
I
know
don't
the
really.
weapon. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like I understand they don't know how to have the weapons, sure, but I don't really think that it will matter a whole lot because they, how do you put it? They don't really need a whole lot of weapons through the air. I mean,
Oh
they have
my
Lad
god.
McConkey. Sure, you know? my guy, Led McConkey. They still have Joshua Palmer on the team. And they will run the ball a whole lot. They have like four running backs that if neither of them gets hurt, I think they will all have a pretty good
Alex,
shot at being good
Alex,
players in the backfield.
Alex, Alex.
Yes.
Their four running backs are Gus Edwards, J.K.
Yes.
Dobbins,
I'm
Isaiah
aware.
Spiller. Who's the fourth one?
Zay Spiller, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and Kamani Vidal.
Okay, so between them, they might have 1.5 running backs. So,
Yes.
so I guess I just don't see it, dude.
I don't know.
J.K. Dobbins is probably going to look good to start the season, then get injured because that seems to always happen. Gus Edwards is very good if you're in the red zone, but guess what? They don't have any weapons, so how the fuck are they getting in the red zone? Isaiah Spiller is similar. I don't see it. I'm not smoking the Chargers hopium this year. They hurt me enough. I'm tapped out. Bartender, I'm done.
I
I'm
am
done. Done
saying
with the
8 and
Chargers.
9. I am saying eight
Not
and
hurting
nine.
me.
I am not
Which means you had
saying
them winning 8 games.
yes. And like those 8 games aren't like I don't think like let me tell you the 8 wins. I'm giving them a win versus the Raiders. Week 1 don't seem like too crazy, right? I'm giving them a win versus the Panthers. Week 2 doesn't seem crazy at all. I'm then giving them a win versus the Tennessee Titans on week 10.
That's bold,
Like,
my friend.
when we get to the AFC South,
I'm
we'll
telling
talk
you
about
this
that.
right now. I have the Titans winning more games than the Chargers.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I have
Yeah.
the Titans
Yeah.
with the same amount of wins as the last team in the AFC East division. Which, funny enough, is the same amount of wins that the team in this division has. The team
No.
that's sitting last. So we'll
Well,
get to that.
I got hopium for the Titans, but anyway,
You got opium
go
for
on.
the Titans. Okay, then I have them as a win versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have a win versus
That's bold.
the New England Patriots.
Not bold.
Uh, and I have a win versus the Raiders to end it off as well.
You have them beating that. Now that's bold. Them beating the Raiders twice. So wait a minute. You gave them 9 wins and they lost 2 against the fucking chart. Oh my god. Okay. Go
Yes.
on.
That is
Go on.
correct.
Okay. Go on.
Now, I also have them with wins versus who else? I think it was this one. Yeah, it is the New Orleans Saints on week 8 as well. And I think that's about it.
Okay. Who's your last place team?
My last place team is the Denver Broncos, sitting at 5 and 12.
5-12.
5 and 12.
I do not have faith in Denver at all.
I do not. I have them with a win versus the Chargers, for example.
But you can't give the. Okay.
I have them with a win versus the Saints. I have them winning versus the Browns. Funny enough, I think they will be a team full of ups and downs. The Broncos. I think some of the games that they will lose will be fairly close. Like, for example, I expect them to lose versus Seattle week 1, but be a very close game. I expect them to lose versus the Jets, who I have a really strong team this year, on week 4, but be a close game as well. So I think they will lose a lot of the close games. I think they will be like a reverse Vikings, not from this past season, but from the season before, where they were winning a lot of one-score games. I think the Broncos will be on the losing end of a lot of those one-score games because I do think the defense will be strong, but I think the offense will take time to click. And eventually it will click, but it won't be like a routine thing. It won't be something that happens fairly often. I think it will be something that happens from time to time. We see flashes, we see the offense going on. I don't think they will be blown out in a lot of these games. I think most of them will be fairly close. But I think you will see flashes on offense that gives you good indicators and pointers for next season.
You're just a hater.
I'm just a hater. They have nothing for me to hate.
They have nothing for me to hate, guy. Okay.
Okay then, your division.
My division.
Give it.
That's next.
For me, it is. I guess it changes for the two of us, depending on who do you have with a better record. So apparently, you have other teams with a better record than I have. So what's the next division for you? We can do it like that.
The East.
Okay. Yeah. Because for example, like I'm guessing that in the East you have someone with 12 wins. I guess.
I
No.
do.
Okay. So 12 wins, and then in the North you probably have someone with 11 wins at top.
I do.
So yeah, if you had someone in the north with 12 and in the east with 11, it would be flipped, basically.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's why it shows me because I have 12 in the north and 11 in the east.
okay.
But yeah,
So it's not
go
consistent.
on.
Okay. Got it. So, you want to do East or North? Because I don't care.
Do east, do east. Go by your order.
Okay. I don't like this at all. Number one in the division, I have the Jets going 12-5.
Ugh. 12-5.
It gets worse.
Oh buddy.
Number two in the division, I have the Dolphins going 9-8. Number three in the division, I have the Buffalo Bills going 6-11. And last in the division, I have the New England Patriots going 4-13.
Okay. So we are not all that different.
What?
Yeah. I have the Bills with like two more wins, and I have the Jets with two more losses.
That's
And
probably why you
I have the Patriots winning one more game, I think. So we are fairly
That's
close.
interesting.
So I have the Jets 10-7 winning the division. I have the Miami Dolphins 9-8, second, still making the playoffs. I have the Buffalo Bills going 8-9, and I have the New England Patriots 5-12. So it seems like both of us are somewhat
Bill's
happy.
schedule is fucking tough,
It
dude.
is.
Like,
It is.
there were so many games where I was like, I don't freaking know, man. There were so many games like that.
It is
So
not the easiest walk in the park. That's for
the
sure.
Jets do have it like a for the most part a cakewalk schedule, and assuming Aaron Rodgers plays a full 18, well 17, they're one by a full 17, I don't see how they can lose this division. I don't.
That's kind of what I was going to ask. Like, are we not afraid, not even one bit, that Aaron Rodgers isn't like Aaron Rodgers anymore after like completely tearing off his Achilles at age almost 40?
I mean, here's the thing. So like, how much less of Aaron Rodgers does he need to be to lose against? Hold on, let's see. Let's see who I have them beating here in a few of these games. Can I do it by team?
If you click on the team, assuming we are using the same website, it shows you the
Yeah,
record of the team.
there it is. So they have who are they losing to here? The Titans, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Vikings. I'm ignoring division games. Fucking Steelers, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Jaguars, Like they just have so many games, dude. Where I'm just like, I can't.
So you have them losing versus the Tennessee Titans.
Do I?
No, you said who they are losing. Oh, okay, okay. You
I'm
mentioned the
asking. No, I
wins.
don't have them. Yeah,
Okay,
like
and asking if they would lose. Okay, got it. Got it.
they play the Patriots twice. I have them going 1-1 against the Bills and 1-1 against the Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. But they still play the Patriots twice. That Colts team is really young. The Rams team I could see the Rams winning, but at the same time, I think the Jets have a better roster than the Rams.
I
And
was flip-flopping on that one.
yeah, yeah, like I could see the Rams winning, but at the same time, like I think the Jets have a better roster and both their quarterbacks are old. So, like, I don't know. It's
I
tough to say.
kind of feel like if Rodgers was out, so the backup was Tyrod Taylor, and thinking about that, like how many of the games would I flip? And I think I would flip one. Um, I would probably flip one. I would flip two. I would flip three. I would flip. I would flip four games. So assuming like Tyrod Taylor starts the whole season, I would have him at 6-11.
Yeah, but that's still. I don't think Aaron Rodgers. With how many primetime games the NFL gave the Jets, I hate to break it to you, but I think if a pass rusher like thinks about getting close to Aaron Rodgers, I think they're gonna throw a flag. Like I'm not saying the fix is in, but the fix is in to make sure Aaron Rodgers does not go down.
The
Like
Jets have made the call to the
the fix.
podium, but it's not for the draft pick. Okay, so we are sort of in agreement that the Jets are going to win this division. The Jets are probably the best roster. Not only are they best roster, because I think the Dolphins probably have a word in that, in being the best roster in the division. But I think
The Dolphins
they
suck.
will
Dolphins
just,
don't travel well though. That's the thing.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, like, I think they are more complete in the sense that they can play good at home, they can play good at away, and like their defense probably travels a bit better than the Miami
Well,
Dolphins offense
the
travels.
defense,
So
I'm about to say defense always travels better than offense, but not only that, they also play in cold, inclement weather, whereas the Dolphins do not at home. So when you have to go to like a Minnesota or New England late, that's less of an issue. Buffalo late, that's less of an issue than it was when I was looking at the Dolphins game and I was like, oh, they're going to Buffalo late. I don't know about that, you know. So it's tough. It's tough.
makes sense. We are sort of in line here for most of it. Then the Dolphins 9-8. We both have them at 9-8. Do you have them making the playoffs?
Yes, they actually
Okay.
are the last team to make the playoffs for me.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's likely that way for me as well. I did not check what seed do they have yet.
Oh my God,
Oh, but
I
it
have
looks
them
like it.
7-1 at home, 2-7 on the road.
I have I have them 8-0 at home.
Yeah, like
That's
that's
fun.
the that that's that that's that. There you go. That's the story. There you go. Like,
Yeah. I
ta-da,
have them. I didn't even look at that until you mentioned, but yeah, I have them 8-0 at
ta-da,
home, and I have 1-8 away.
ta-da.
And like,
Like,
I did not expect it to be that way. I did not make it to be that way. I just picked the games one by one, week by week.
yep,
This is what I got.
yep.
And I also have them 4-2 versus losing records, 5-6 versus winning records, 2-5 versus playoff teams.
I have them 1-6 versus playoff teams. So what that tells me is not only do they play, according to my predictions, they play 7 fucking playoff teams. They play them all on the road.
Yeah.
Like, oh Lord.
not the best of things. Okay, so we are kind of in agreement that the Dolphins, although good, probably get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs because they look
Yeah.
a lot like pretenders, right?
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. In my predictions, they would be going to New York in January or late December. So,
Get
yeah,
whooped.
yeah, yeah.
Get whooped.
That would not be a good that would not be a good time.
Okay. Buffalo Bills. Not the best of
It
seasons.
feels dirty giving Josh Allen like only 6 wins. It really does. Like,
We kind of alluded to this in the last episode that we had.
here's the thing. They only got to 6 wins, and I gave him fucking wins against the Ravens and the Texans. Like,
So I did not.
that's just rough, dude.
I did
That's
not
just
give them
fucking
wins.
rough.
I did not give them wins
I'm
there.
looking at
And
their
I did.
schedule, and it is brutal as fuck, dude.
Yeah, I think it has some
Who do
good
you have
patches,
them
but
beat
again,
then? Do you have them beating
I
the
have
Chiefs?
no, I have them beating the
San
Cardinals.
Francisco? Okay, the
I
Cardinals.
have them beating the Cardinals week 1. I have them beating the Jacksonville Jaguars week 3. I have them beating the Tennessee Titans week 7. The Miami Dolphins when they're playing at home on week 9. Then I have them beating, I have them beating San Francisco because I have
I'm not saying you had to get to there. I'm looking at the
yeah,
wins I gave him, and I was like, I only got to 6. How the fuck did he get to 8?
yeah, I give them that win because they're off a bye. I'm expecting them like they need to win to be in the playoff race and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be extra motivated. I'm going with the narrative there. I'm giving them a win versus the Rams, which is very iffy right now.
It's very
Um,
iffy.
yeah, and then I'm giving them wins. No, I'm giving them wins versus the Patriots and the Jets in week 17.
Interesting.
So that ends up with an 8-9 record, 4-2 versus losing records, 4-7 versus winning records, 3-7 versus playoff teams. Again, this just shows that they are facing 10 of my projected playoff teams here across both divisions.
They're 4-6
So,
for me against playoff teams for me.
yeah,
They
so
got a
it's
tough
it's
schedule,
not the
dude.
easy. Yeah.
Like I'm not like, you can call me a Josh Allen hater because I have called Joe Burrow better than him. But it's hard to give this team wins, especially when they didn't really do. This is more of a retooling season for them.
Yeah,
Josh
it's
Allen
hard.
is a great quarterback, but like, how many fucking playoff teams can you go against?
It is
Like,
true, and like he's lacking weapons. All of the guys are young in there. The coaching doesn't inspire me a whole lot of confidence, to be honest. I like James Cook. I think the offense will run a lot through the ground, but I think eventually the deficiencies of the offense, the deficiencies on the defense as well, who lost
they
a
lost
few
like
key pieces.
everyone on the defense, and they
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
play fucking like the Cardinals, who just drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. and stop on top of healthy Kyler Murray. They drafted Trey Benson, so they have a bunch of weapons here. The Jaguars signed people. They play the Ravens. They play the Texans, who have like 4 wide receivers. Like,
not
they
the
play
best.
my God, dude. They play the Chiefs, and then they play the fucking 49ers after a bye. Like, God. It's just tough.
Not the best.
Tough.
Let's leave it at that. It's not the best for sure. So yeah, again, retooling season. I don't think it will be anything great. I think the offense will look okay. I think the defense will allow more points than they should, which won't let them just have their game plan of like running the ball a whole lot, taking time off the clock. I think that will be off the table in a lot of these games, in which the defense get pounded a bit more. They will have to throw the ball more. Mistakes will come. I mean, we know that Allen, although a good QB, is prone to throwing the ball a bit too. I'm not gonna say radical, but just like taking some chances. Let's put it at that. Some of the chances got masqueraded by Diggs, who make great plays at times, when he was with the Bills. Now he doesn't have Bills Diggs. How will this offense look like now that Diggs isn't there? Who will be like the safety piece? Will it be Kincaid? Will it be one of the rookie receivers? Will any of the receivers step up to be one of the safety valves for Josh Allen? That's all questions that we need answers for. And at this point, I don't think the answers are all that great.
Yeah.
And that leaves the Patriots. I mean, no one is really expecting much from the Patriots this season. It feels like everyone sort of said, okay, this is going to be like the learning curve season for Drake May. Even if he is going to be something like the first season won't be pretty.
Bro, they didn't do him
Uh,
any favors. I'm looking at these first 6 weeks. Bengals, Seahawks, Jets, 49ers, Dolphins, Texans.
yeah,
No
it's
favors.
for sure not the best.
No
I
favors.
have them. I have them going. If I'm not mistaken, I have them going 2-3 to start the season. So
Same. Same.
3, and then I mean, I gave them 5 wins overall. So the rest of the season doesn't go great. But I think you see some changes from the Bill Belichick regime. I think the offense will look somewhat better. It won't click right away. It won't look like a super dynamic offense, but I don't think it will be like Carolina Panthers level of bad from last season. I think it will have glimpses. I think it will look decent at times. That's all you can really ask for, to be honest, from this team, from the place that they were, the pieces that they have. Everyone is super young, from QB to wide receivers, tight end included. The defense has a lot of young pieces as well. So I expect this to be a team that grows into their shoes a bit more. I have them winning the last game of the season, by the way, versus the Bills. So
Well,
maybe
that's
it's
kind
just
of the
like,
thing. So, like, I don't think you can judge them based on how they start, but you can judge them how they finish. If they look better at the end than they did at the start, then I think you can call that a win. I
yeah,
think if there's an owner who won't overreact to all the losing, I think it is Robert Kraft. Like, because let's be honest, if after Gerard Mayo got the job, he didn't have a sit down conversation with Robert Kraft and was like, "Look, man, this isn't like sunshine and roses. This isn't the Patriots dynasty that I was just left. So, give me some time. Allow me to get the roster I want, develop the pieces, and then we'll go from there. Tell me how I'm doing at the end of the season, how it's
yeah, and I
looking at
think
the end of the season, not like how the season like went overall, because it could
yeah,
very well be looking really good at the end.
and just like overall, I think he really has to have the trust of the owner. Like it was embedded in his contract that if Bill had to leave, he would be like the main guy to take over. So I mean, the owner like sort of has to have some sort of like belief in this guy. Like he's not going to throw him a contract saying that just for the heck of it. So like there is some trust there between Kraft
Well, you know,
and Mayo.
I think that Gerard Mayo's destiny is in Drake May's hands. I think if they have something with Drake May, Mayo will be more than fine. I think if they made this selection this early and either like they ruin him with how bad this roster is or he's just terrible, I think then because then you scramble to actually find the quarterback and then you're like, well, fuck. How much patience does Robert Kraft actually have? So I think it's a lot of pressure on Drake May. I think that's where Gerard Mayo's destiny lies,
And
for
we
good or
hope
for
that he
better or for
excels.
worse. Yeah, no, 100%.
Okay, so that's the east out of the way. That leaves the north and the south. You have the north fire, so go ahead. North.
Okay. Number one, I have the Baltimore Ravens at 11-6.
Hmm. Okay.
Number two, I have the Cincinnati Bengals at 11-6.
Okay, so a tie there. Nice little tie.
Number three, I have the Cleveland Browns at 10-7. At number 4, I think the wheels fall off. I think this is Tomlin's last run. I have the Steelers at 5-12, and Russell Wilson officially ending Mike Tomlin's win streak.
You couldn't escape
You couldn't escape.
Russell Wilson. Okay, so not too far off, but a bit different. I have the Ravens 12-5. I expect them to have another strong season. Now, this might be one of those teams that I'll waver a bit on. As we get closer to the seasons, I wouldn't be shocked if I flip a few wins for losses. Mike McDonald really did a number on that defense. They played great on the defensive side. I'm not so sure if they're gonna be at the same level defensively. And Lamar, just as a running QB and at the type of QB that he is in general, just seems to have those ups and downs. So I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't look at his MVP
What
level
did you
again.
say, Alex? What did you just say, Alex? Repeat that statement again.
That Lamar Jackson can be one of those QBs who has some ups and downs.
Interesting. So what do you call that? There's a word that you call that. What?
Inconsistent?
That is the word. So
That is
let
the
me ask you
word.
this. Why? How did an inconsistent quarterback get 2 unanimous MVPs?
One of them wasn't unanimous. I believe this last one wasn't unanimous by a single vote. So to that voter, fuck
Someone
you.
had someone had sanity. Thanks.
I mean, he just makes plays when it counts and when he gets on the groove, when the team is good around him, when he doesn't pick up injuries, when the defense is solid. He is one of those QBs that can impress. And sure, last season, the first season in which he won the MVP, I mean, it was just like he was the new hotness in the league. He played great, sure, but he was the new hotness. He just got out there, dazzled everyone, played played great, got the team to the playoffs, was their first seed. So he won the unanimous MVP. This
Well,
one, I mean,
fuck,
it
man! I
was
can run 5 miles when it's breezy outside at 70 degrees and the sun is like starting to fade down and the walkways are all clear and you just listed like 10 things to go right.
there's our QBs who can't win when things go that right. Like not every single QB can just do it, I guess. But I would say that like he can have his ups and downs. I'm expecting them to have another good season offensively, because the weapons are still around them. I think like Derrick Henry going in there really is going to help him out. I mean, in one of the worst offense of the league last season, Derrick Henry still had 15 or 16 touchdowns, which is like asinine. Uh, it just like the O line was so bad that he just couldn't get any sort of decent yardage at times. So Henry being there, you add on the who's the guy they had last season? Why am I blinking on his name? Flowers,
Rashad
right?
Bateman.
No,
Flowers,
Jesus
yes.
Christ, dude. That guy is long gone. Like, let's put it at that. Like, that ship has sailed.
Got
It's the
resigned.
Titanic. He resigned
Resigned.
to be the guy that is going to be there holding the spot for a guy that they're going to draft in a year or
Oh
two.
my god.
That ship has sank more than the Titanic at this point, buddy.
Rashad Bateman wheels up.
Rashad Bateman against an ice cube. Just destroyed. Uh, so yeah, I again think the offense around them are good enough for him to succeed. I think Andrews being back healthy will really help them out. So yeah, 12-5 seems okay. You have them at 11-6, just one game difference here or there. Doesn't matter a whole lot. I have them being a team that is good at home. I have them a team that is 3-4 versus playoff teams. Surprising enough, 8-0 versus teams with a losing record doesn't bode great for them and the chances in the playoffs, I guess. I haven't made the playoffs yet. Once we're finished, I'll make the playoffs really quick. But yeah, 7-1 at home, 5-4 away, so a team that travels well, in my eyes. I like them overall.
They're not bad.
The Bengals, though,
Oh.
give it to me straight. Explain the 11-6. It's your team.
I'm not super confident in the way that we have handled the T. Higgins situation. And I think that low key we might be more distracted coming into this season than we have in the previous seasons. And with the loss of Tyler Boyd, I'm not sure that we have the necessary pieces to fill that void. So like let's say T demands a trade in the middle of the season and we have to move him. Who fills that void? Is it Mike Gesicki? Is it the raw rookie that we just like? I just see too many things that could go wrong with the offense, and the offense has been a juggernaut the last 2-3 years when Joe Burrow has been healthy. I think the
Uh,
defense could make a lot of strides. I really do like what we did. We have drafted the secondary very well. We drafted into defensive line in this last draft, and we focused on drafting tight ends to develop. I really like how we are playing the long game, but at the same time, we are playing the long game. And I'm not sure how well that bolds for this season, especially with Joe Burrow coming off of injury. The thing I pray for is that Joe Burrow does not enter this season again fucking hurt. That's because if that happens, this 11-6, you can just throw that in. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I see too many things that could go wrong and not enough things that could go right. Quite honestly. Now, granted, I still have them winning 11 games and losing 6, assuming that Joe Burrow is healthy. I don't think that's like a bad thing. I just have a bad feeling that I didn't have in previous years. Well, I had a bad feeling last year because Joe Burrow went into the season hurt, but I have a bad feeling that I didn't have during the Super Bowl year.
Hmm. Okay, so I I think that this season can be a tricky one for you guys. I would not really expect T to live during the season. To be honest, I think he will play the whole season. I think
I
the
think
idea
so
will
too.
just be having Chase, having T, investing in the tight ends, so Nagasiki, Hall, the tight end that you guys just drafted in the rookie draft, then having
Right.
Burton playing the slot a bit,
I don't think
alongside Yosivas.
I don't think Burton plays the slot this year. I
I
think
read
it's
a
Andre.
report. I read a report yesterday that they drafted them in that sense. Like they drafted him to play the slot a bit more this season. Not to say that he's going to be the primary slot receiver, but a guy that they want to use at the slot a bit. And in case T lives, then he takes off T Higgins' spot. That's what I read yesterday. Um,
See, I think the T Higgins spot is going to go down. Andrea.
Andre
So,
Yosivas, if I'm not
yes,
mistaken.
because he has a closer to T Higgins body type of frame.
Yeah.
So the dude that we are
Technically,
going to be. Go ahead.
technically the best guy for the slot, at least from where I read, that was what he
Vaughn.
was drafted for last
Vaughn.
season. No, of the young guys. Uh,
Oh, of the young guys.
yeah, it was Charlie Jones, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that you are using it as a returner. I liked them last season coming out of college. The nickname that a few people ran with him was Charlie Football, because he really was like guy that was obsessed with football. I think he did really well at the Pro Bowl, Senior Bowl, that is,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's one of those guys between him and Andre Yosivas and Burton. I think he will have a decent slot position. I don't think you will miss Tyler Boyd a whole lot with those three guys basically making the position. And then at tight end, I think you will have a piece that you didn't usually have in years before. So maybe we now start seeing now with the new OC and whatnot. Maybe you do start seeing a more of a shift to include tight ends a bit more and to have a more diverse playing field outside of T and Chase, just spreading the ball up a bit more between those three young guys. Then the running game gets weird, right? Because for a long time you had Joe Mixon lying around. He was the workhorse. He didn't handle every single touch, but he was the workhorse for your team. And now he's out, and you get two guys to replace him, basically. So much like you did, I guess, with Tyler Boyd, where he leaves, and now you have three guys to replace him, basically. Mixon leaves, and now you have Charlie, not Charlie's. Is it
Chase
Chris
Brown,
Chase
Zach
Brown,
Moss.
Zach Moss, and Captain America, right? Chase Evans, is he still around?
Is just or did we cut him?
I don't know. I think he's still around, but I'm not 100%
'Cause
certain.
he was brought on to be on basically the Geo replacement.
So you add all of those things up, and maybe you get a good mix and replacement in like three or two or three players, I guess.
He is still on his rookie contract.
See,
I'll be damned. Okay.
they're still around. So yeah, I don't think it will be a bad season. I think it will be a strong season. I guess it will depend a whole lot on how Joe Burrow comes back, because the injury is a tad concerning. I mean, was it the thumb on his throwing end? Was it something
I'm
like
pretty
that, right?
sure is throwing side, yes.
Yeah, okay. So throwing end is always tricky. I mean, it could be difficult for the grip and whatnot. Could make it difficult for the throws, get the spin right. It depends on his rehab. I don't think I've heard anything like too negative about him so far.
I don't know.
So
I just so iffy on the so we kind of like took a quantity over quality approach, whereas in the previous years we had the opposite. We had Joe Mixon, we had T Higgins, we had Jamar Chase. So now we just we had Tyler Boyd. So now we lose Tyler Boyd and we replace him with basically a bunch of people. It could be Andrea, it could be that dude we just drafted, it could be Chase Brown. Like same with the running back, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was an amazing running back for us. So now we got Zach Moss. Now we got sorry Chase Brown and Chris Evans. So I don't know. I could see how it could work, especially with the running backs, because you don't necessarily need one bell cow back as long as you have like a between the grinders guy and then someone who can pass catch very well. But at the same time, having a bell cow also doesn't necessarily telegraph what you're doing pre-play. Like if Chris Evans is out there, do you really like doubt it's going to be inside zone? I don't know.
yeah, you're right in that sense. But like, I mean, as we are talking through it, doesn't this look a whole lot like the approach that, for example, the Kansas City Chiefs have?
Oh no, they
Um,
have to do it with especially having paid Joe Burrow. It's something they have to do. It's just I'm not
yeah,
sure how it's going to work.
I mean, it worked with the Chiefs, right? I mean,
No,
they moved
100%.
off of an overpaid wide receiver, and not overpaid, but like for what they needed, they couldn't really afford a guy like Tyreek Hill, so they moved off of him, and then they try and replace them with a bunch of pieces to sort of make an amalgam of guys that can all like in conundrum do the same work as Tyreek Hill. I mean, at times it has looked bad, but I mean the end result is two Super Bowls, so at the end of the day, results are what matter. Isn't that
Kansas
what you
City
usually
Chiefs
say?
also understand, like after you pay the quarterback, the game is make sure your defense is solid and make sure the offensive line is good. I think we've done one very well. I'm not sure if we've done the other very well.
It remains to be seen. But again, we both have them with a solid record this season. I
Yeah,
have them 7-1 at home, 4-5 away. 4-5 versus winning versus teams with a winning record. 7-1 versus teams with losing record. 2-5 versus playoff teams. So, not the greatest, but it seems to be a trend that I don't have this like the teams with the more wins. They don't seem to be against like have good records versus good teams. Apparently, like the next team is the one that has great records over every single one of the winning teams, playoff teams, whatever. So weird enough, but here we are. Okay, Bengals should be good. things to be cautioned for. Joe Burrow, does he come back healthy? And the whole saga with T. Higgins. And do they finally nail the O-line? That's basically
Yeah,
what
they
we've
have to
talked
nail
about.
that. If we
They
haven't
do.
nailed that, then like we're just. I got no answer for what we should do. I
It's
couldn't
gonna
tell you.
be sad.
You know how like some people like will have the dog pick out like they'll put a bunch of random numbers on the floor and they'll have the dog pick out winning lottery numbers. We might as well at that point if we can't get the offensive line up. I don't know. I ain't got the answer, Chief. I'm sorry.
Okay,
But now for the other Ohio team.
the other Ohio team. I have them going 9-8, personally. You have them at what?
10-7.
10-7. Okay. So close enough, 1 win difference. This is the first team with great records, first of the playoff teams with great records versus winning teams. I have them 6-5 versus teams with winning records, and versus playoff teams. I have them 5-3 versus playoff teams. So in my eyes, they should have a difficult schedule. Leaves them at 9-8. They make the playoffs, but it's not like
They have a lot of
just a bunch of
questions.
roses. Yeah, they have a
So
bunch. That is the main thing.
the first question is last year the defense was all time good by basically all the metrics. And historically speaking, when you have a defense that is that good, they don't repeat that same production.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean they're not a good defense, but they don't shut down
it's
people
not.
every
It's not something that traveled well with year to year overall.
The Browns defense felt oppressive last year.
Yeah,
The Browns offense felt anemic last year. So where my 10-7 goes is they'll be a little less oppressive defensively, but they'll make up with that with a little bit more offensive production, I hope. Now the question is, can that be true? Deshaun has not looked good at all, dude. I have said a lot of times, let's wait, let's see. I've waited, I've seen it's shit. It's bad. So second question mark. Okay, well, what about the running game? They have Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is coming off tearing basically every ligament in his knee. Can he be
knee
on?
that he once blew up.
I do think if there's a guy who can come back from that twice, it is Nick Chubb. And I don't want to sit here and disrespect Nick Chubb because he is a fucking beast of a running back. But at the same time, would you be silly to be concerned about it? No, you wouldn't be silly to be concerned about that. Like, so,
I mean, father time, the
and
injury,
then
everything piles on, right?
they decided to add on to this. The Cooper Cup's returning, obviously, and they decided to sign Jerry Jeudy to be the wide receiver two to fix their wide receiver two woes. And I was just like, oh no. I can just see the amount of deep balls that fucking Deshaun is gonna sail on this dude. I feel so bad for Judy, dude. Judy's
And the
gonna have
one,
multiple plays where he's gonna be wide fucking open, and the fucking ball sails 5 yards to the left. Oh
what do
my
you
god!
mean feel bad for Judy? If the targets hit him in the hands, he would drop them. Come on now. We've had this. We played this game before. Even if the targets hit him, you would still just completely fall out of his hands. So
Oh man!
uh, I don't feel the best about that. Uh, yeah, well, I mean the wide receiver room is weird. The running back room is weird.
David Njoku might
All
act after Amari Cooper. David Njoku is probably their best target, and that includes Nick Chubb. I hate to say it.
I mean, he was great last season. Let's give him at least that. But yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. Like, the more that we talk about this, the more do I
are we
think
crazy?
like we might need to take a few wins away. Um, because it doesn't look all that great. The outlook isn't great at all. So it leaves me
I
wondering,
think I just talked myself out of this pick.
like I could see myself flipping a bunch of these right now. Like after really talking about it, laying it out. But then there are like wins versus, for example, the Bengals. They
I
always
have
play
them
the
beating the
Bengals.
Ravens.
Yeah, I have them
I have
beating the
them beating
Ravens
the
as
Bengals.
well. But like, for example, maybe do I flip the Chiefs win that I have on week 15? Like, I have the Browns winning
Beat
that one.
fucking Chiefs. Oh my god, I do too. What the fuck?
Yeah, like there are things here in which like you see it at first and it's like, okay, cold weather, they're playing at Cleveland. Like
Exactly, they're in Cleveland.
this is still gonna be a team that is tough to beat because the pieces, although the defense, we are fairly certain that the defense will take a step back because like repeating that sort of performance is almost unheard of. But it, like if they take a step back, they will still be pretty good. Like let's make that clear. And then it's like, can the offense be something? And
Can
I
the
guess
offense get
that's
to 3 touchdowns? Generally speaking, can the offense get to about 3 touchdowns in a game? If they can win most games. That's the
yeah,
question.
but it's really tough to say that they will right now. Yeah, I could see myself flipping a bunch of these. Right now, it will stay as is. But I wouldn't be shocked if we're sitting here like before the season
Yeah, we
starts
were
and we
wrong.
talk about this and
The
we
Browns.
no, just like we go back on our predictions and like the changes that we make, and it's like it's very different outlook for the Browns. Training camps are gonna start soon, if I'm not mistaken. So as more info comes out, I wouldn't be shocked if I start flipping a few of these. Okay, that leaves the last team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have them at 5-12. Was that what you said?
5
Or
and
set
12.
5-12. I have them a bit better because although I think Russell Wilson isn't a good QB anymore, I don't think he is what we saw with the Broncos. I think he is a tad better than that. So I have them going 7-9, just one win
Still have
short
the
of the
streak.
500.
You still have the streak ending.
Yeah, I still have the streak ending, which is makes me nervous. Like you never want to bet against that because Tomlin has had worse QBs than Russell Wilson. I remember him getting to that record with Duck motherfucking Hodges. So I'm and Mason Rudolph. So I'm not gonna put it past him
No.
to get
Here's the
to
thing, though, and
500.
I understand he did that. He's a great coach. I'm not saying he's not. But, like, how much bullshit can you get away with exactly before like there's just that one season that it all catches up to you? You know what I mean?
Apparently, how long has it been going on for him?
Like 2
Because
decades or some shit like that, isn't
okay,
it?
so apparently you can go at least 2 decades.
Okay. But here's the thing, though. The last, 3 to 4 years have been more impressive than the previous, 15. That's the thing. Like, I
That
couldn't tell
is,
you how he got to 9 wins with some of those rosters. I couldn't. Bullshit. Voodoo magic. I don't know.
it does seem like that. Like it's really that voodoo magic that he does at the end when the team really needs it, and it looks very unlikely that they will reach it out of nowhere. And here you can make the same case. Like, would you even be shocked if like week 16 they beat the Ravens, and instead of me having them 7-9, they go 8-8?
3 and 9, but yeah.
No, I have them. I have them. What? I have them 7-9. Oh, I missed the game.
The game.
Okay, no. So I have them 8-9. Would it be nuts if they beat the Eagles, they beat the Ravens, and they just make it a team over 500?
Maybe. Those are 2 really good teams, though.
Yeah, they are. But they seem
We'll
to
talk
be
about the Eagles.
those good teams when the
Yeah.
going gets rough.
Homie, their last 4, oh my god! From week 11 to the end of the season, they play the Ravens, the Browns, the Bengals, the Browns, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and then the Bengals.
Yeah. It's all divisional
they-
there for a while.
I feel like Roger Goodell took that streak personally.
Looks like that because from week 11 to week 18, he plays. They play every single team in the division twice.
Yeah.
And the two other slots available go for the Eagles and the Chiefs. Eagles, I don't have as a great team this year, but we'll talk about that next week. Stay tuned
Yeah, we will
if you're
talk
an
about
Eagles
that
fan.
next week.
Okay, so you have the streak ending. I have the streak barely ending. Because apparently
I'm
it's
not
8 and 9. I was
only
missing
if
one.
they go above 500 these last 7 games. I don't know. I don't know what I would do, but I don't know. I don't know how. It's impossible. It's not physically possible to me for them to win 4 of these games. There's
I have
no way.
I have them winning 2.
I have them winning 2 as well. But
See?
there's no way they're winning 4 of these games.
I do have them with a fairly strong start of the season. Like before they go to the bye, I have them winning 5 games. So they go 5-2 before the bye. But again, the schedule is a bit easier. It's not really all that easy. The more I look at it, but I have them
What?
getting wins in some tricky spots. Like for example, the
Yeah.
Jets. Yeah, Jets on week 7. Steelers are at home. I could see like the defense just
They
smothering
play more
Rodgers
playoff
for a
teams
while.
for me than the Bills.
Yeah, I have them 4-8 versus playoff teams, so 12 playoff teams with a schedule of a team that finished. Oh, they didn't finish last in the division, did they?
That was the
They,
Bengals.
yeah, with the same record, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's the better schedule for them. Okay, here's one that I want to talk about: the AFC South. Give it to me straight.
Roger Goodell's obsession with rolling the Bengals up against the Chiefs every year is getting annoying. Anyway, sorry.
It
Go ahead.
sells, buddy. It sells. Give it to me straight. AFC South.
Oh, this is the one that disappoints me. Ugh. Okay. Hold on. Psyching myself up. Okay. Number 1, I
Come
have
on.
the Indianapolis Colts going 10-7.
Yes, Angelo. You saw the light. Come on. Let's go. Okay. I'm an happy camper right now. I'm an happy camper. You had them
Number
at
2,
what record? My bad. I didn't listen to that.
10-7.
Okay.
10-7.
Same.
Number 2, I had the Jacksonville Jaguars at 9-8.
Same.
Number 3, I had the Houston Texans at 9-8.
Exactly.
And number 4, the one that I'm sure we're not going to agree with, I had the Tennessee Titans at 8-9.
Okay. I have them a bit worse. Not a whole lot, but worse. Okay, so we agree on the top 3. I'll take the Titans out of the way right now. I have them 5-12.
Yeah.
Again, like I don't see what you see in this team. I think the pieces around the QB are good. I don't think the defense is great because I think it's a very similar situation to the Raiders in the sense of a lot of pieces. I think the Raiders have better pieces than the Titans because I'm not a biggest fan of Ridley. I think Hopkins is a bit long in the tooth. Pollard is not the running back that I usually like strive for. It's not one of my favorite running backs in the league. Spears I like, but I think he is not a difference maker overall. Higo Konku I like, but again, it's a tight end. They don't move the needle all that much. And then I like the OC. I think the O-line can be better than last season. But like to me, they are definitely a worse Raiders. Like I see a lot of what I see in the Raiders. But then in the QB, I don't trust as much. I know you do, and I know most people do. Prefer Will Levis over Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. Eh, maybe
Yes,
just
Will Levis is better than
Aiden
both of
O'Connell.
them.
I don't think it will be a popular take to say that Will Levis is better than Gardner Minshew, purely because he has a very Joe Andrew-like following. Gardner Minshew, that is. That's one for you to catch if you're a wrestling fan.
I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Yeah, I believe. It's okay. I believe. It's all good.
You believe, but no, like Gardner Minshew really has a lot of very passionate fans for him. So I think you would be hard pressed to find people that would say that Will Levis is a better QB. But I wouldn't be shocked if it's close, at least. But I see a lot of what I see in the Raiders, in the Titans. But I think in the Titans, some of the players are on the wrong end of the spectrum here in terms of age, in terms of their abilities. I don't think it will be the best fit, and I think it will be a very one and done season for Will Levis. I think they will be in the market for a QB fairly soon after the season ends. I think it will be pretty evident that they need to go for a QB. Right now, I haven't finished the entirety of the NFC, but I have the Titans very close to being in the first overall pick. In terms of the AFC, they are the first team in the draft. Right now, they are number 2, but I haven't finished the NFC. But they are ahead of the Patriots, the Broncos for a pick. So I think they would be in the race for a QB next season. I think the Ridley experiment won't work all that well. I think Hopkins will be another year closer to calling it quits. Like, he was okay last season. He wasn't the same Hopkins that he was in Arizona, that he was in the Houston Texans to me and to my eye. And again, the defense, I think they have some solid pieces, but I think the secondary is so and so. I think they have a few good players in there, but it's not the best. I think that the front seven is solid, especially the front four. The linebacker room, I have some doubts. So I think they are a Raiders with slightly worse offensive weapons and a worse defense. And I think maybe slightly better coached, but I think Antonio Pierce brings the factor of passion. He brings the factor of being a player's coach that plays well into the Raiders culture. And I don't think Tennessee Titans will have that sort of culture here. So that's why I'm fairly low on them. I don't envision this to be a great team. But the rest, we are like right on. I think the Jags are going to have a worse season. Do you have any of the Jags or the Texans making the playoffs?
No, I do not.
Okay. Neither do I.
The AFC
So
honestly is really, really tough overall.
it is. I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think most of the really good quarterbacks in the AFC or are in the AFC. Like just thinking about some of the people I have out of the playoffs right now, I have Josh Allen, I have Justin Herbert, I have Trevor Lawrence, and I have CJ Stroud all missing the fucking playoffs. That's insane. That's insane, dude.
I mean the schedule for the Texans is just brutal. I mean, it's one of the toughest schedule.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Again, I am expecting regression from Stroud as is. Then you add on to this schedule, even the teams that should be easier for them, like for example the Bears, are teams that are looking to be on the up and up. So it gets really tough here to give them wins, especially like in the middle part here. I believe I have them not being at their best. Then there are some tricky spots here. For example, week 13, for example, I think they're a better team than the Jags this season. But Jags coming off of the bye and they're playing at Jacksonville, and then the Texans have their bye next week. I think some of the slots here becomes hard to give them wins. When I usually like in a vacuum, I would probably pick them as a team. Tricky spots here, like coming off out of emotional division games, is always tough for them. So, for example, they face the Colts, on week 8. Then they go to face the Jets on week 9, and before all of that, they face the Packers on week 7. So just some very rough stretches, and then it finalizes with the Lions and the Cowboys on week 10 and 11, respectively. So it becomes really tough in some of the stretches that they have here. I think overall they will be a very solid team. I don't think that Stroud will look like a shell of himself. I just think that there is regression coming in a few very key scenarios. Like his, yeah, I mentioned this stat before, but like his passes to turnover ratio was amongst the absolute best ever. Like best, you look at Tom Brady's best season in that statistic and Aaron Rodgers' best seasons in that statistic. Stroud was up there, and I don't think he's the type of QB, at least yet. Like, don't kill me, Stroud fans. At least yet. Like, I admit that I was wrong not liking your guy prior to the draft, but don't kill me right now for this. But I do not think that is prime Tom Brady. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't think he's prime Tom Brady. I don't think he's prime Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a good player, but he's not those guys. So I expect some regression coming there. And just like overall tough schedule, regression comes. It is what it is. I think the team is solid, but it's up enough. And then the Jags, like, I have them higher than I expected because I really don't like this Jags team. I think they have a lot of holes. I think ETN is one of those guys that produces well in the running game, but when you watch him, he is clearly not what was promised out of Clemson. I think
Yeah.
overall he kind of sucks. Let's be honest about
I don't
this.
think he sucks, dude. Let's be honest about this. He's the best running back out of that class. That's sad to say, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any of the late round guys, so you're probably right. But it's not a tough bar to clear. Like it just
Clear
kind of
Najee Harris.
looks. Yeah, I mean, like his big appeal out of college was that he was this great receiving back. You really don't see that, and we
Yeah.
talked about this before we even had the show. I remember sending you a clip of like why his production through the air in college wasn't really reflective of him being a great receiving back, and it was mostly because of the targets that he was having were mostly dump offs, were most like they were plays that got him in space with the ball, and it wasn't really his receiving prowess that did any of the work. It was just like he was on a great team. The team found him space. He did great in that space. But like the way that he caught the ball was sometimes counterintuitive on what you want to do when you're catching the football because I don't I mean it was 4 years ago almost so but it was something along the lines of like the way that his body was turning wasn't exactly what you expect from a guy that should be a great receiving back because it does not translate too well into further production when the ball gets into his hands. So it was something along those lines. Like it was sort of misleading, the type of receiving production that he had at Clemson. And now you see here, and it's like they clearly are looking for a running back that can help take some of the load out of ETN. Do they think that ETN isn't a great running back? Do they think that he will be a better running back without so much work? That's a question that is to be answered.
Oh my god, I can't say his
Bigsby.
name. Tank Bigsby. Is he just gonna be that thing that never happens? That we just keep talking about every year?
I mean, at this point, I
I know
wouldn't be
it's only
shocked.
been 1 year, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, watching him last season, and I have him in a few dynasty leagues, but watching him last season, it didn't really think like it would happen. Dearness Johnson would look much better to my eye, to my naked eye, both in the receiving game and
Oh, he
even in
looks good
between the
Cleveland,
tackles.
too. I think he's
Yeah,
an underrated running back too.
yeah, he's kind of underrated. And I think like if he had a bigger name, if there are just players that are like that, right? Like they get into the league, they are undrafted, then they join the league, they play great for a while, but never really get a proper chance because I mean teams just can't get past the fact that he was like fifth, sixth, seventh undrafted guy, and they never really gave him the reins. But like when I watched him last season, I'm not gonna say that he was better than ETN, but I don't think the difference was like all that big. Like I think they were fairly close in terms of both running and in the receiving game. I think Dearness Johnson was better than ETN. Um, like the stats surely don't say that because he didn't have the same amount of opportunity, and opportunity is always king, right? But like when he got the ball, he looked better to me. So I wouldn't be shocked if Bixby doesn't happen and Ernest keeps getting his chances. I also think that they drafted like another guy this season or added him in as an undrafted free agent. Don't really know much about the guy, but I was looking up at the at the how do you call it?
Combine?
No, I was looking at their team and the depth chart.
Oh,
Just had a blank there. I was looking at the depth chart and saw that they added the new guy in there as well. So yeah, I think this team is another one that I've gone a waiver on because I really don't want to be this high on the Jacks, although I'm not even giving them playoffs or anything. I have them at 9-8 missing the playoffs. I, before I did this, I was fairly certain I was going to put the Jacks as a 7-win team, 8-win team at most, absolute most. To give them a winning record feels iffy to me. But it is what it is. I mean, this is what popped up here. I wasn't really trying meddling too much on this. So the winning team though in the division. And explain to me why you, the biggest Anthony Richardson hater in the whole wide world, are giving him 10 wins.
because Roger Goodell fixed it for them.
Oh, the fix is in. That's your take. I mean, they had the worst record, right? Oh no, they had the second worst record in this division last season. Like, I don't even have them. Like, I have them only facing 4 playoff teams, and they are 2-2 versus those. Then I have them going 6-3 versus teams with a losing record, and 4-4 with teams versus teams with winning records. So I don't think it's like they are just
You
facing
mean
shit
you have
teams.
them beating shit teams like I do?
Yeah,
Shocker!
yeah, but
Shocker!
I also have them going 500 versus both playoff teams and teams with winning records in general. So they just seem like a solid team. Like last season, we didn't get to see the Anthony Richardson experience, but we did get to prove that Jesus Christ, Shane Steichen, is that his name? Shane Steichen. That sounds off, but it is it Shane Steichen.
You're
Shane,
Shane Steichen.
the coach. It is Shane Steichen. Okay.
For who?
But we did get to see that Shane Steichen was a good NFL coach. He seemed to bring a lot of the concepts that he had in Philadelphia, the tush push, some of the running concepts that he had, and just like overall, he worked and he built basically Jalen Hurts up as a QB, and now he's getting to do the same thing with Anthony Richardson, a guy that I think had better. He wasn't overall like better at every single thing versus Jalen Hurts, but I think in most things he was probably better than Jalen. Um, I mean, draft capital shows as much, right? And I think he probably, in terms of like, he didn't get to start as many games as Jalen did back in college, so he had less experience. He was greener, but I think the attributes that he had and the athleticism that he had farly outweighed what Jalen Hurts brought to the table. So I think the starting point for both guys, Richardson got a much farther starting point to work from, and I think
He played 2
Steichen
games.
he played 2 games. I'm talking about in college. Like I think the
Oh, okay.
attributes that he had in college, what he showed in college, even though he played less games than Jalen Hurts. But I think the highs were super, super, super high, higher than Jalen's. The lows were just a atrocious. Uh, but you focus on the highs when you're drafting a guy and you're drafting a prospect based on the belief that you can enhance the good things that you saw. You don't really focus on the negative all too much with this sort of player.
I look at this. I look at what I projected, and I think like, okay, am I putting too much faith in a guy who played 2 games last year? And then I realized that like I have them beating losing teams, and then I'm like, well, then who do I? I don't know. I don't see a way how I can like amend this to give them an extra loss so that I can make the division all 9-8.
Like I could on my end, but
They
then I
have
can
a
also
few tough
see,
games. They have a few
yeah,
tough games, but then you also see like they play the Titans twice, they play the Broncos, they play the fucking New York Giants, they play the Vikings, who I think is going to be a dumpster fire. They play Miami on the road, like they play the Bears in one of Caleb's first 3 fucking NFL games. Like,
I just want to say that I just realized this. I don't know how this ended up being this way,
mhm.
um, but I have them going 2-4 inside of the division. And spoiler alert, they do not beat the Titans. So
I have them going 3-3. Yeah.
yeah, I do not have them beating the Titans, and I still have them with 10
So
wins.
that's the thing. Like we gave them fucking losses, and they still got to 10.
Yeah,
I, I, I
but then I also gave them wins versus good teams, for example, versus the Lions.
you have more faith than I
Um,
do, but I don't.
versus but like looking at it, it's
They play
not
the fucking
wild.
Patriots. Like,
And I gave the Patriots the win. So it's like
like
I gave them 3 losses versus teams that I think will
it's
have
it's
worse
hard.
than
So like
six
I could see them
wins.
winning like 11, 12 games, but I can also say it's not because they're fucking good. It's because the schedule looks so bad. It looks
Yeah.
so bad, dude.
I mean, you
Like
get the schedule that you get overall.
you get
Like
the
there
schedule
were
that you're in for having a quarterback who played 2 games last year.
I mean, they still didn't
Oh my
finish last
god.
in the division. They were in the playoff race for all the entirety of the season. Let's keep that in mind. Like with Gardner Minshew, they were in the playoff race. Now they added, to me, the best edge this
They have
class.
so much faith that they gave them a bunch of shit teams to play.
I mean, like
They
the way
rolled the
that the
fucking New
schedule.
York Giants, dude. Like, I, what do you want me to say? They rolled the fucking New York Giants. Like, okay,
Is that a
great.
role though? Don't they
Yeah,
just like
they
face the
don't play
entire?
anyone in the NFC East.
Yeah, they are facing teams like slot as they finished. So the Giants finished third in their division. They get to face the third team that faced in the AFC South.
Oh my god.
It's not really a role. It is what it is. Let's put it at that. Like it's not their fault that they're finished third. They were in the playoff race. If I'm not mistaken, they were like a win behind. One more win because I remember there was like a 2 or 3 game stretch between the Texans, the Jags, and the Colts in which all of them were like swapping places for the team that won the division. So it's not like they were atrocious. They were a solid team, and now they added a better QB than what they had last season, and they added the top edge of this past class. And I think this team sort of has some momentum to it. They have some juice. They seem to be one of those teams that is it's just gonna shine, man. Like the coach is right. The defense has been playing well last season. They added good pieces to it. Their star QB is back. The wide receivers, like last season, it was Michael Pittman, then a bunch of young guys. Josh Downs takes another step forward. They added Adonai Mitchell, which I do not love, but I mean, he's another weapon that can play with Anthony Richardson. Then you get like Jelani Woods. Now he's back. Last season, he missed the entirety of the season, so that's another tight end option for their tight end group. that they sort of mix and match as they please between Jelani Woods, between Granson, and there was another guy. I believe they drafted one guy this season, and then there's still another guy in the team. So they have like 3 to 4 tight ends that they can use at any given time. Jonathan Taylor is still around. So I think this team really has a lot of pieces that can make it go boom. And although I'm giving them 10-7, like I'm giving them losses to the Titans. Like if I flip the Titans, if I flip the Patriots, if I flip the other Titans game, out of nowhere they are 13-4. They are one game behind the Chiefs. Like this can go wild. Like this can be one of those teams that no one is really expecting to just go off.
Don't you dare sit here and pretend like they earned this shit. They have a soft ass schedule, and like they have to win games. Here's the games they have to win to compete with the Chiefs. They have to beat Green Bay in Green Bay week 2. They have to beat the Texans and the Jaguars in their division. They have to beat Miami in Indianapolis. They have to beat the Bills in Indianapolis. They have to beat the Lions in Indianapolis. Like, what? What?
Let me just tell you this. And this isn't complete yet because I believe I'm missing part of the NFC schedule. So some of this can be like it can change because I'm going to talk about the strength of victory and strength of schedule. Since the NFC part of the schedule isn't completed yet, it can change the numbers a bit. But right now I have the Chiefs with a strength of victory of 0.477. So the higher the number, the better the victory. The Colts have a 0.459. So it's not at all that different. And the stretch of schedule for the Colts for me right now is 0.456. For the Chiefs is 0.473. So the difference isn't asinine in my projections of what the Chiefs are facing and what the Colts are facing. I'm not saying that the Colts have a incredibly strong schedule. I'm saying that the Chiefs do not have the strongest of schedules either right now. And let's not forget, like every single team, there is one team that looks great because they have a very weak schedule. And I mean those wins count just as much as the wins that you get when you're facing good teams. Like it's all the same here. Wins are wins. You get to the playoffs with them. I remember the Falcons, for example, a couple of years ago, really had a great season. I'm not sure if it was no, I think it was after the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. They had another season in which like their strength of schedule was super piss poor low. Then they had a pretty solid season and they came back to the ground. I don't expect that to happen with the Colts. I think they are a team to keep an eye on.
I think they have a shit owner, they're a shit organization, and they just lucked into it.
By the way,
Quarterback who played 2 games last year.
By the way, and since we do need to keep this somewhat of a betting show as well, so we can get them sponsors, huh?
Brought to you by DraftKings.
We need it to be brought to you by DraftKings. I'm looking right now at the futures. Where do I have the futures? I had it open here somewhere.
Oh, no. Don't you dare. This is going to be
Future
the last
bets.
thing you say, isn't it? This is so going to be the last fucking thing you say.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
for sure.
Go ahead.
That's gonna end the show. So guys, like after I say this, go follow the Twitter, No Reserves Radio. Leave subscribe, turn on the auto downloads because Angelo can end the show at any time now. But I'm just gonna give you some odds for the AFC and who wins each division. So right now, this is okay. Now we want the American Conference because this is in Portuguese. God damn it. Okay, so right now, if you're following us here, just gonna give you for every single division. I'll leave this out for the end. We have the Jets winning the division The odds on that right now, crap, I need to change this up. It's plus 191 for the Jets to win. They are the second favorite to win the division. The Bills are the favorite currently, but plus
That's loony.
191
That's loony as
for
fuck.
it is, right?
That's more faith in
For
Josh Allen than I could ever have.
for sure, like that's a wild one. For the North, the AFC North, Baltimore Ravens are the favorite, but they are still plus money. So it's plus 134 for the Baltimore Ravens right now to win the division. I
I
mean,
can barely
the
even consider
West,
winning,
the
honestly.
West, you can just sort of ignore. I'm not gonna even
Chiefs
bother
won.
translating this
If
to
the
US
Chiefs,
odds.
if the Chiefs don't win, that'll be the most shock. That I will be talking about that for weeks. If the Chiefs don't win the division, that would be the best bet anyone's ever made all year, and we'll be talking about it for weeks.
I mean, just to give you a sense, it's minus 275 for the Chiefs to win the
For
division. So
Chargers,
no, for
who's the second team? Who's the
the
second team?
second team is the Chargers. 4 point
Good.
plus 350. I'm
Nice.
seeing this in Portuguese and European odds, and I have to translate them to US odds. Then I mean, the Raiders, like, God forbid an injury happens to the Chiefs, but the Raiders are plus 1200. Yeah, plus 1200 to win the division. And now, the South. So if you're looking for betting advice, this is what I would do right now. You ready?
Oh,
You
God.
go to your favorite sports book. DraftKings, that is, of course. Of course, it's DraftKings. You go to the DraftKings Sportsbook, and this is what you do. You open it up, you go to futures, you look at the AFC South division winners, you take a mortgage on the house, and then you
Oh my
go,
God! Don't you dare! No, don't do this. Don't do anything Alex is suggesting.
and
God.
then you put it all on red. No, my bad. You put it all on the Indianapolis Colts winning the division at plus 355. Someone joined. One left. I don't know. I didn't see it, but Craig is still here, so